With the release of World of Tanks 9.17.1, a new branch of German tanks has become available. So that's the actual branch that's over here. That's the VK100-01P, the Mauschen, and ultimately the Maus. Now the Maus was previously available as being the successor to the VK4502B. That's now been replaced with the Panzerkampfwagen number 7, and the Maus has basically been placed in a different tree. Now, for me to be able to unlock this, I need to basically get additional experience for the Tiger P. So the next video will actually focus in on the Tiger P and some of the key benefits and strengths of that particular tank. Let's have a brief look at the tank itself. It looks a little bit different from the regular Tiger. It's got more frontal armor here, as you can see. Quite thick armor here at the front. You'll also see that the actual plate in front of the gun is actually creating a little bit of spaced armor there, but again that's quite thick as well. Now there's a few weak points. If you try to use the angling to basically get the increase of the frontal armor, you kind of expose this side panel here. It'll be flat at that point. So quite often it's best to just keep the front of the tank facing the enemy head on. Anyways, let's have a look at the actual replay I've recorded here for you. Alright, let's have a look at this particular replay of the Tiger P's performance here. We're currently playing in a defensive mode where we're actually defending the city that's right in front of us here. And you'll actually see that we're trying to get into position. Well, we just started, but we're going to go and try to get into position from where we actually can put some shots into the enemy. So I'm trying to basically get towards the front line, which is really that line across, clubs 6 and 5. And I want to be able to put some shots into the enemy, like I said. And again, I'm trying to basically use some of the terrain to the best of my advantage by having the terrain provide me with some cover. I'm just trying to take some pot shots at the actual enemy. Now, looking at the actual gun we got on here, it's a pretty accurate gun. So, in that sense, we can actually use it to be relatively accurate. And as you will see, I might be able to put a nice shot into that Hellcat over there. So, dealt a good 261 damage to the Hellcat from a decent range. So, the guns on the Tigers or the German tanks are typically good and accurate. So what's he going to do? Is he going to allow me to put a second shot in? Yes, 267 damage closed. So that's taken him down to almost nothing. He's only got 8% of his health left. I'm hoping to be able to put another shot in, but he's taking cover behind that bunker over there. Right, so, oops, there's more enemies. So let's have a look at what we can actually do with those. Which of those shall we be able to aim for? Do the Panzer 38 NA, or will it be the KV2? Or maybe the KV3. So there's a variety of different tanks that's passing through my field of fire. I'm hoping, yeah, there it was, KV3 we put a shot into. 255 damage dealt to that KV3. Again, you can actually see all of this damage quite nicely at the bottom left on the screen here. There's of course that Panzer 38 NA. Again, we put a shot into that one. So thus far we fired 4 shots and all of them have been hits. Total damage dealt thus far is approximately 1,000. And we just had that KV2 trying to put a shot into us. We fired one back, and yeah, unfortunately we didn't miss that one shot. Ooh, as you can see, we just received some, or at least some of the damage that Panzer 38 NA was trying to inflict on us. It was blocked by our armor. And you can also see at the bottom left on the screen that they actually used armor-piercing rounds for that. So they of course know that we got stronger armor than they've got. We're a tier 7 tank, they're only a tier 4 tank. So typically you wouldn't be able to penetrate, but yeah, if you use the armor piercing you might get lucky. As long as the angle is advantageous to yourself. Now, do bear in mind of course that the Panzer, or the Tiger P I should really say, has got pretty good frontal armor, and I'm actually angling it. But that actually does create a weak spot like I pointed out earlier. So if we look at the front here, that little corner, it's not a straight angle. It's actually, it's at an angle already itself. So it's not an actual straight angle, so there's no proper deflection that can occur on there. So it's like a flat surface for them to aim at. And that of course makes it more vulnerable as such. Alright, so our allies have actually taken out the Panzer 38 NA. Good. Now we do see that there is in the bottom, or really in the center bottom, let's call them F6, there is some penetration of the town by the enemy. I'm going to try to keep the KV2 occupied over here. Actually looks like the KV2 is actually still at the edge there. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to probably try to get some other shots into the enemy. That was a T-20. Unfortunately, we did not penetrate that tank. Let's try that once again. We're going to aim for the lower plate. And yes, the lower plate gets penetrated quite nicely. And we were able to destroy the T-20. Nice. That was only 103 damage, but yeah, my allies had actually inflicted sufficient damage to him for us to be able to take him out with that 103 damage of that one shot. Alright, let's go and reinforce the actual center here. So we've basically taken out 8 of theirs. We have only suffered the loss of 2 of our tanks. So we're actually going to go into this particular position here, really in the town center, and see what we can do in terms of reinforcing the rest of the team here. We do see that there is a KV-3 there, and of course there are some other enemies. Another bit of damage was blocked by our armor. And we're able to put another shot into a T-38. Sorry, T-34, 85. As you can see, there's 3 tanks within my view here. The KV-85, and they actually were able to inflict some damage onto us. Unfortunately, did shoot into that other tank there. Unfortunately, my ally just blocked my shot. I'm able to take out this KV-85. That's actually the last one to take out, so that leaves us pretty good position, and we actually have won the battle. As a result of the battle you saw, you should see that we have actually had a pretty decent result over here. So we basically got a good 36,000 in terms of credits from this, even though it's not a premium tank, and of course 2460 experience. Let's actually look at that in more details. So looking at that in more details, you see we actually are at the top of the ranking in terms of experience earned. Same actually goes for our actual damage that we actually dealt to the enemies. In terms of number of tanks that we destroyed, we're actually on par with a couple of other tanks, so that's good. Anyways, the entire enemy team was obliterated. So let's see what the kind of actually results that led us to. So we'll see that in total we fired 12 shots, of which we had 11 hits and 10 penetrations, so that's a pretty good result. So it means, well, more than 90% actually of our shots fired actually hit. Total damage dealt was 2100. From a distance of more than 300 meters, that was over 1000. Hits received, of which penetrated was 1, 2 non-penetrated, and so forth. But ultimately, really what's important here is that, of course, we had some of the damage blocked by our armor, which only was about 200. So we didn't receive too many hits, but we just used the terrain to the best of our advantage in this particular battle. Total received, like I said, 36,000, and despite us having to, of course, resupply the ammunition we used, we still made out with a decent 32.5 thousand. So quite happy with that result. And hopefully, of course, this shows you that the Tiger P is a pretty decent tank overall.